Hey guys, and welcome back to Talking with Me. That's kind of a weird thing to say. Now that I think of it, it's like, what if we just went up to people and been like, "Oh, hey, it's you. We're talking again. So welcome back. Welcome back to Talking with Me." It's like your own little show. Like, here's what you missed this week on Not Talking with Me. It's kind of weird. Well, anyways, so I have been meaning to put out another video as kind of an update, after the last video. If you haven't seen it, it's still there. You can just search it. It's, spoiler alert, I shaved my head. Which, I wonder what happens. I shaved my head. Anyway, so, that's a week or so worth of growth of hair. I'm going to shave it again because I told myself that until I become comfortable with it, I am going to maintain it. And I have not been comfortable with it. I'm going to be honest. It's been difficult. Also because it got to 9 degrees here in Texas. And yeah, that's not supposed to happen. I live in Texas. It's not supposed to get to 9 degrees. So I've been having to wear a lot of hats and beanies and stuff like that because it's been really cold. And I found out that it's true. A lot of your heat escapes from your head. And so that's what happened, is that I was getting very cold because, no hair in there anymore. So I had to cover that and keep that heat enclosed and all that. Anyways, it's been crazy weeks, after that whole thing. I kind of had to hide from the world for just a little bit because super exposing, opening up about your own difficulties and whatnot. So I need some time to myself and be like, okay, just, just still doing my thing, and then, yeah, I'm good. But I am good. I'm doing really well, yeah. Overall, I've had some really great responses. Thank you to everyone that has reached out to me and has spoken to me, asked me questions, just started relationships and everything. It's really meant a lot. I've had only positive responses and people encouraging and saying how much that meant to them, and a lot more than I was expecting. Honestly, I was just expecting I was meaning for my family to see it, just being like, hey, here's what's going on with me. And it was so much more, and that was amazing. So because of that, I had a lot of people saying, hey, Serena, make some more videos or something like that. And so that's what I'm here doing. I am making another video. So I'm just going to keep doing them until I reach... What are you doing? Sorry, that's my kitty cat. She wanted to be in the video. Say hi. This is Calixta. Hi. Okay. She's done. Anyways. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the videos. So I had a lot of people reaching out about making different videos and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to try to do, one at a time. So one of the first requests was about jewelry, because as I said, I make jewelry. So that's what I'm going to be talking about, because jewelry was a huge part of my recovery process. So before I got back into recovery for the eating disorder and some other stuff, I did make jewelry back in high school and before that, and it was just a small hobby, and it was something I love. I love jewelry, always have. What are you doing? What are you doing? She's crazy. Anyways, always loved doing that. And so when I was in recovery, back at where I went to recovery, confidential, I guess, I don't know. When I went back into recovery, I really had to go back to my roots. I really had to find out, okay, who am I? Those big philosophical questions. But trying to figure out, what's going on with me? What do I love? And what came to me right away is I had a lot of downtime to create, and I love to create. Just, give me, piece of paper and some tape and some stuff that you found outside on the ground, like some trash and some gum, and yeah, I'll make something and it'll be awesome. I mean, to me, maybe not to everyone, but it's because it's just that feeling, inside everyone that has something that they love. And for me, it's something that I create, especially something I create that I can wear, someone else can wear. And so I got back into jewelry, and as I was doing that, I realized that there are different parts of making jewelry that really impact different parts of your recovery and different things like that. While in recovery, I realized that there's different parts of making jewelry and different processes that really help with different aspects of recovery. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. So for me, I realized that there's several parts of going in recovery, whether eating disorder, addiction, whatever you might be going through, that going to a place emotionally where you're expressing that in a way that's beyond words is so incredibly helpful. And for a lot of people, it was something involving art therapy. There's a lot of studies for that, and for me, it was specifically jewelry. And so with involving times where I need to be patient with myself and times that I needed to slow down and just feel sad, just feel those quiet emotions where it hurts right here and you kind of want to crawl in, that letting myself to push those out and to let those be free. And techniques that really helped me with that would be beading and wire wrapping and things where you really have to kind of concentrate and just be very intricate with, because there's something about that patience and that oneness with each individual thing you're doing that is so fulfilling and relieving, and that really helps that sadness and and that quiet emotion to just kind of come out. So an example, and I didn't make this was a friend of mine that made this, and she's so talented, is making a mala, which is also a way to do meditation, which is extremely helpful as well. And so you can do an assortment of different beads or stones if you have connections to different stones. And so it's not just putting the beads on the thread. It also involves knotting it and putting intention with making that. And because, look at those, they're so close together. And so having that precision and that work with it. And so I will put a link on here so that you can find the video of how to make these, because that's where my friend, she works with Pop Shop America, and so they have a video of how to make these, so I'll include that. And then another thing with wire wrapping is just find something like you have a cork, you have a bug, maybe, I don't know, acorn, gum wrapper. I'm trying to think of all sorts of random things that I could find sentimental, and other people would be like, that's trash, but everyone finds different things sentimental. And then just enclose it with some wire, just just wrap it in something, and it could be a pendant, a bracelet, a ring, and there's so many different videos out there describing how to do that. So that's another thing. And then there's so many other ways to help with patience. You could do crocheting and crocheting jewelry, knitting. You can also crochet wire, and so doing that if you want to do something that's made of metal, because for me, I have a connection to metal and things made of metal. And then on the opposite end is things with that intensity and trying to draw in that passion and that self-drive, but also some of that anger, those emotions that they feel all over your body, and they're just, they really need to come out. And so with that, I turn to especially things that involve heavy equipment, such as maybe a hammer or a drill. And so doing stamping especially really helps. And so stamping, it costs a little bit to set up, but it's something that is really easy to learn, really easy to do. You just need a steel block, some stamps, some sheet metal, and maybe some electrical tape and a Sharpie if you're feeling fancy. And you just, put a word on there or a phrase or a name, something that speaks to you, and then you can have it wherever you go. Just put some holes in it and wear it as a bracelet or a necklace. You can wrap the band around a rod and then it's a ring. It's very impactful, just that feeling of like putting the pressure and really having to take that stamp and impress it into metal and the force it puts into that. And then with drilling, taking a thick piece of metal and drilling into it, or some wood, and that relief of just the pressure from the drill. And it's so great with that therapy. There's something that, when you just don't know how to say something. You don't know how to vocalize something. And so putting an action to it and something that also creates. And so after you're done, you feel inspired. You see something, you're like, wow, I made that. That's kind of cool. And especially if you can wear it and show it around and people are like, oh, hey, what's that? Like, what's going on? For example, like this, people always ask me, what is this? Is that like an alien head or something? No, it's actually my dog's nose. And so that's another technique that I really got into. So what helped me a lot is I did some of the beading and the wire work and stamping, and that's a lot of what I had done before I got back into recovery. But what really helped me was trying something new. So casting metals, casting plastics, casting different materials. And so this is my dog's nose, and so how I did this was I made a life-safe mold out of 2 different materials. So while he was sleeping, I put on his nose, he made sure everything was okay. He's like, okay, Mom, you're just, putting something on my nose. Okay, now I need to breathe, so take it off my nose. So by the time, he needed it off his nose, we were good, and it took its form, and it didn't affect him, it didn't have any harsh chemicals, and then I cast it into it. And since I have to be careful with metals. I'm actually, as much as I love metal, I'm allergic to a lot of them. And so with this one, what was easier is casting a resin and then adding a metallic coating onto it. And so, and it actually, it's pretty cool, I feel it, and it's got his little texture of his nose. This one's a lot smaller than his nose actually is because he's a bigger dog. And so this was when he was still a little baby puppy. And then in addition to that, I also did some casting with another favorite material of mine is with pennies. And it's pretty cool. So I made one of those, like modern diamond rings out of fully metal, and then a little symbol for Pop Shop. It was popsicle and shopping bag Pop Shop. So different things like that. And so that's what helped me. And so everyone has their thing that helps them, and it might not be jewelry for everyone, but for me it was. And for everyone, it could be something different. And I always recommend something where you create and something that helps you inspire, and that afterwards you get that visual fulfilling realization that I just processed through something that was really difficult for me. And I see a result that might not directly indicate that's what I was feeling, but it helped me get through that. And that's why, for me, I recommend jewelry, because then you can wear that, and it's always that reminder that it's holding on to you, and you're holding on to it and saying, wow, I've been through so much, I've overcome so much. And that's a good thing to remember throughout your life, is looking back at who you were yesterday, who you were 3 years ago, and saying, who am I today, and how much have I overcome since then? And it's amazing when you look at it. When you look at just the moment, you're thinking, wow, have I really done that much? You have. You have done so much. You really have. Even if you think, I'm in the same job, at the same school, with the same people as I were like 6 months ago, 2.5 years ago, who are you as an individual today? And that's what I see through things that you create, is that inspiration of that time that you progress, because you remember, you look at that and you say, wow, I remember when I made that, or I remember what I was feeling when I made that. And it's such a connecting thing. Some additional things I like to do is some different spoon art, or this one I really like. It's The Promise. So fingers crossed, really cool. And this was before, so I got into some more classes and figuring out how to do this, but this was before that, and so I just was taking a Dremel and just cutting that out, where now I know you take a jeweler's saw and you drill a hole and then you saw it out, and that's so much easier. But until then, you don't have to have all the supplies. You can just figure it out. Just be creative, be safe. That's one thing. I had to get some stitches during this time because I didn't totally know how to do this technique, so I was like, oh, I'll figure it out, and then I figured it out. I figured out my hand was bleeding, and it was like cut open and all that. So definitely, if you don't know how to use a tool, find someone that does. Go to a department store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Harbor Freight, any of those, and just say, hey, I'm new to this. I would just like some help with how to figure this out. People are really helpful. Trust me. I went to Home Depot and Lowe's so many times, and they were just so kind and saying, hey, this is what I'd recommend if you're wanting to work with this material, because it can all vary, but depending on how hard it is and how thick it is. So just ask. I know it's scary, you know, it's like, oh, I don't know this, and then they're gonna know I don't know this, and then we're both gonna know I don't know this, and then you move forward. Like, nobody really cares, it seems. It's crazy. It's so scary, yet it's so crazy. And after you get over that fear of admitting to someone, I don't know about this, then you both move forward, and then you know. And that's what the amazing thing is that you go from the state of not knowing to knowing. And it's just, you gotta get past that step of admitting to someone that you don't know something. And so that's how I would recommend, if you're wanting to get involved in something that you don't know what you're working with, maybe some metal, wood, plastic, because be careful of plastic. If it heats up, it can be very toxic. Same thing with a lot of metals. For example, pennies. If you do decide to work with pennies, do work in an incredibly ventilated area with lots of covering, because it is also very toxic to work with. So just some little tidbits. Always look up with what you're working with. It's a good idea. I know it's kind of like, you know, I just want to be free. I don't want to think about it. I just want to do it. And be smart about it, because you want to be able to continue down your recovery. And if you're not being smart about it, then you might not be able to get too far. So that's what I would recommend, is that when you're going through something like this, that you try something new, and you're being smart about it, but you put yourself out there, and it's not for anyone else. You might not put it in a gallery, you might not sell it, you might not even show very many people, but creating something that you made, that you put connection to, even if you're not, you mentally thinking, oh, I'm going through something serious right now, do it anyways. Say, I've always wanted to make something, and then along the process, you'll figure out more about yourself from making that item. And that's what's the amazing thing, is that you might not always know what you're wanting or expecting or your intention is at the beginning, but as you go along, you're going to learn so much about yourself just by pushing yourself and trying new things and being vulnerable with yourself. Because a lot of people talk about vulnerability, and before you can be vulnerable with others, you have to be vulnerable with yourself and say, this is what I'm feeling, and that's okay, you know? Anyways, so jewelry, that's what I like to do. That's what I love to do. So if you guys have any questions about how do I make something, what should I use, where do I find this, you know, just message me, or you could search it. I don't know. That's what I did a lot of, but I do know a nice bit of things, so you can just ask me. Also, if you have any other ideas of videos that you want to watch or things you're wanting to know about, that's what I'm here for. Had a nice bit of experience, I gotta say. So you just ask me, like, hey, have you gone through this? And if I haven't, then I'll talk to someone who has. But I've gone through a nice bit, and I think we all have. And I've had to have people tell me to admit to myself, saying, hey, you've gone through stuff. And it's like, oh, you don't want to think about that, you know? But it's okay. We're going through this together, right? Kind of. It's a video with just me. But you're watching. Hopefully. Anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. That's all I gotta say. Until my next video, hopefully I don't wait as long, and this one didn't feel as, wow, like I'm not shaving my head this time. And so hopefully the next one will be out soon. I'm just gonna, you know, keep putting out what people want to know and what I know about, and can say, hey, here's stuff that helps me, maybe it'll help you. Well, I just want you to know that you're amazing, and you're beautiful and wonderful, and I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.